Hey guys, I hope you're having an awesome day. So today we're going to do an upcycled DIY project. This is going to be a DIY wall hanging tapestry. And I wanted to start doing more recycled and upcycled type of projects with you guys. That way you're not having to go out and spend money, or you're not having to go out and spend money on new resources to do, little DIY projects, and decor for your house. I wanted to do something where it would be really inexpensive, super quick, not take a whole lot of time or money to be able to do these projects. So let me know if you guys are into that, and I can definitely do more projects with you like this. I've got lots of ideas and I just want to know if you guys are into that or not, so let me know. So let's go ahead and get started on our DIY wall hanging tapestry. It's going to be super easy and quick to do, so let's get started. Alright guys, so here's what I'm using for today's project. I have some fabric scraps, some yarn, and then some trim, so any sort of lace or trim that you have, that's going to work perfect for this project, and then a dowel rod. So I'm going to be using one of these dowel rods. I'm going to be using this jute to hang my dowel rod on the wall, but you can use whatever sort of hanging method that you want for your wall hanging. And so I just used 3 pieces of jute and tied 2 knots near one end, about an inch apart from each other. And now I'm going to braid the jute the same length as the dowel rod that I'm using. And if you don't have a dowel rod, you could use a tree branch. That would be really cool to give it a natural aesthetic. So when I finish doing the braid, I'm going to make 2 more knots at that end, about an inch apart. And so your dowel rod or branch is going to slip into those open ends of the jute. And if you need to, just tighten up those knots. And it's easiest to hang this up on the wall while you're working on it. So right now I'm just cutting pieces or strips of the fabric scraps that I have. So I have like different textures of fabric, so I'm just cutting a whole bunch of strips out. And some of the fabric scraps that I have are a little shorter than I want them to be, so I'm just going to take them and tie them together, and so that way I can have longer pieces to work with. And now you can start tying your fabric strips to your dowel rod, and you can tie them any way that you want. And then just have fun with knotting your fabric different ways, or you can braid it. I'm actually going to take 3 of these gauzier pieces of fabric. They're very lightweight and kind of wispy, and I want them to be a little bit more chunkier. So I'm going to go ahead and have 3 of these pieces right next to each other, and then I'm going to braid them just very loosely, and then that way it'll give it a chunkier sort of look. And then when I get to the bottom of the braid, I'm going to leave kind of like a little extra tail on there, so that's kind of wispy and light and airy, and I'll just give like a very, I'll just tie a very lightweight knot there, very loose kind of knot. Now I'm going to incorporate some of my yarn, and this is that knitting yarn. It's like that really fuzzy eyelash type of yarn, and so I'm just going to do some lark's head knots, just those really simple knots, and just add a whole bunch of this yarn in the wall hanging. And if you have more yarn, you could actually do this entire project with just yarn. I just happen to already have those fabric scraps that I wanted to use up for this. I'm also going to add some random knots here and there on the fabric just to give it a little more texture. I have this piece of cotton rope trim, and so I took it apart, and I have one long piece here that I'm going to use to tie to my dowel rod, and I'm going to tie a bunch of little pieces to it and make it look like little tassels coming down from it. So I'm just going to kind of fray out the ends, so that's what I'm doing right here on the ends of the long piece. And I kind of have it hanging so it's asymmetrical, and then I'm just going to attach all the little pieces to it and just fray those bits out, and that way they look like little tassels. And then I have this one piece of mini pom-pom trim, and so I'm going to use this to hang across the front. And as another option, I want to show you guys how you can add other elements to your wall hanging, like sea glass, crystals, stones, anything like that. So I'm taking 6 strands of jute, and I'm going to tie a knot near one end. I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail, so a few inches on there, so it kind of looks like a little bit of a tassel there. And then I'm going to clip that to my clipboard and secure that. And then separate your strands into groups of 2 and knot them together just with a regular overhand knot, and I'm keeping the knot fairly close to that original knot at the very beginning that we started with. And then once each of those are knotted together, you're going to take 1 strand from each group of 2 and knot those 2 together. as you're working on this, it's a good idea to take whatever stone or crystal you're going to be using and just kind of put it in there, make sure that it's fitting, make sure that the knots are kind of positioned how you want it, you know, make sure they're at the right length apart from each other. And just continue repeating your knotting method until your stone or crystal is completely enclosed the way you want it. Once you're done with the knitting part, you're going to gather all your pieces, grab the two most outer pieces, pull those aside, and keep your center pieces together. You're going to do half square knots, so grab the right piece that crosses over the middle pieces, the left-hand side piece goes under and through that loop. And then you're just going to repeat that method over and over, and it's going to create a little twist of knots on the top of your stone. And then when you're all done, if you want, you can cut off those center pieces. You don't have to have those on there, or if you want to leave them on there, it's totally up to you. And then to make it easy to hang, I'm just going to knot those two remaining pieces together. And just as another option or idea, you can use any sort of string or cord that you want. So here's one that I just did with a regular white string for a crystal. And so the knitting's exactly the same exact sort of method, just with different string and different stones. So I just want to share that with you guys too. So you got lots of different options. And you can hang these additional elements wherever you want. They could be on the ends, or they could be kind of within the strands. It's totally up to you. Alright guys, so that's our DIY wall hanging project for today. I hope you enjoyed this project. It's really fun to make, it's super fast, and you can use whatever you want and just make it totally your own. Do it in whatever colors match your decor and just have fun with it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna let you go now, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye guys!